It's almost the end of 2020. How excited are you? I am over the moon excited for the end of 2020. And then, one of my dear friends who is very much a realist and, focuses in the logical realm of the world where I like to focus most of the time, but also the idea of 2020 being over was very magical, right? And then he just like took his little logic needle and out and he just popped my bubble by saying something to the effect of, I mean, 2020 may be over, but the change of the calendar doesn't mean it's a reset. So it's all going to continue into 2021. And I'm like, thanks. But anyway, 2020 is almost over. And so we'll find something new to, coin for 2021, or maybe it's a new whatever. Again, nothing whatsoever to do with the poor or what we are doing today. It just has a very real meaning in the actual life that we're all living. So I'm going to tell you about what we're doing in just a moment. But before I do, hello, I am Mrs. Soap and Clay. I'm still super glad that 2020 is almost over. Let's make stuff. How's it going, Sudsers? Welcome back to the channel. You are at Soap and Clay, where we make all the soapy things, and you are here for day 272 of 365 days of soap. And we are taking two of the videos we made earlier this week, how to layer soaps and how to swirl soaps, and combining them into one video with an angled layer as well as swirls to make the January birthstone soap, which is awesome. Now the January birthstone is a garnet, and so that's cool. Got to play with that. And also I wanted to play with all of the different colors that you can find a garnet in. And so that's what you're getting in today's pour. So let's go check that out and see if I managed to do some angle layers with some swirls and all of the jazz. Okay, we are doing the garnet. And yeah, like one day left until 2021 is over, which is super exciting. But the garnet soap, I was actually really looking forward to doing this one, and that sounds kind of weird because garnets are kind of, whatever. But yeah, look, garnets can be found in all number of colors, like almost every color, except blue is super rare. And so I did not want my soap to go blue with all of this. And I am going to be using a couple of the techniques that we've been working with, this week. So I showed you how to layer soap. So we are going to be doing a slanted layer, an angled layer. And then also I showed you how to different ways to swirl soaps. And so the top portion is going to be mostly white with just that little pink and that orange as sort of like a modified teardrop-esque. I'm not super trying to go for a teardrop right now. And actually, thinking about a teardrop, yeah, that is not emulsified. See how it separates on the stick there? But notice how the batter itself, it already looks reasonably thick. Now, the reason for that is because I am soaping this very, very cool. My oils are very cool, and my lye water is also very, very cool. So I would say I'm around 85 degrees for both. And so it's going to appear to be thicker than it actually is, but that's just because of the coolness of the solution. And even there, not quite an emulsification, not quite an emulsion there, but because we're going to be mixing it up so much moving forward, it's all going to be fine. But yeah, that's one of the big things when you are working with very, very cool oils is you want to make sure that you don't hit what is commonly known as false trace. False trace is one of those things, it is what it sounds like, right? It looks like you're at trace, but when you just let your solution sit for a little longer, yeah, it starts to separate. You have not hit an emulsion yet. And that's the biggest takeaway in all of soap making. People like to make soap making very, very complicated. It's really not. It's as long as you get your soap to an emulsion, no matter what you do from that point on, it's going to become soap. And so, you know, don't overthink it. Just get it to an emulsion, and then you can always take a stick blender to the parts that you want to thicken up, and that is a beautiful green. I am in love with that green, and I am going to take a stick blender to this to thicken up this base layer, because again, this is the slanted layer, and I want it to be firm enough to pour all of the soap, the white soap and the pink soap and the coral soap on top of it without worrying about it breaking through to the green. So that's what we're going with. And yeah, I very rarely take the stick blender out again, but look, it lightened it up, and that's unfortunate. Well, we'll see what that does in the cure, really, in the sponification. But let's go pour this guy. And now to pour this beautiful Garnet soap. And yeah, no, I'm super excited about pouring the Garnet for sure, because like, I don't know, I've always, it's weird because like when you think Garnet, you just kind of, oh, you know, just toss it aside like, oh, there are much cooler stones in the world. But I really like garnets, and it's like garnets are a symbol of love and friendship, which I really dig, so that's fun. So yeah, excited for this one. So I poured everything. I put the mold itself on an angle, and I just used some towels to prop it up to do the angle, so that's awesome. And it's all been poured in. That's about half the batch right there. And while that is continuing to set up, I'm going to put the rest of the kaolin clay into the soap itself and into the soap batter, and then we'll split up the colors and, you know, do the thing. The scent blend for this is actually really cool. So it's following in line with the stuff that we've been doing, right, for the birthstone soaps, and that was kind of accidental how that started. But then when I realized we had been doing it, I kept it going. So we're mixing like a cool, like very herbaceous, spa-esque scent with sweeter notes. And so this one is rosemary and pepper and watermelon, and I dig that. And it doesn't make any sense because like watermelon, that's not January, but I don't care. I hadn't put watermelon in any of the birthstone soaps yet, I don't think, so I wanted to do it. And the idea of rosemary, pepper, and watermelon just really, like, I got that, and so I was digging that, and it's a really delightful blend. It ended up being really, really good in, you know, its full concentration. So I am curious to see what it ultimately ends up smelling like in the finished product. But I poured off, I would say, about 3 ounces each of the pink and the orange for this guy. And then I will just scent all 3 portions, because this should be a scent blend that we don't have any problems with acceleration or anything, because the pepper that's in it, there's not a ton of it, so it should be okay. And rosemary usually works really well for me, and the watermelon, every watermelon I've ever used has always been delightful. This particular watermelon is from Nature's Garden? No, Aztec. This one's from Aztec. So now that it's all set up there and I can put it down on its bottom, see how nothing moves? That's great. That's exactly the thickness and that I want it, so it doesn't so the white doesn't break down into the green. So that's super awesome. And I'm sorry, I'm so distracted. I'm trying to change like the studio setup and everything around for the new year, which is kind of silly because it's not the end of the channel's year, but you know, 2021, let's mix it up. And it's not, and so I'm like surrounded by just a disaster right now, and it's distracting me. But yeah, for something like this, doing like, it's kind of like a drop swirl, so I'm just alternating the colors, the orange and the pink right over each other, and there is a little bit of ricing going on there, so a little bit more pepper in this blend than I had anticipated, but you know, that's okay. Now I'm adding a little bit more white to each side to sort of start to zip up the swirl itself. Now this isn't really something that you do with a drop swirl, but it is definitely something that you do with a teardrop. And I guess I'm kind of low-key practicing, because in the next week or so, we will be doing teardrops, and that's for a really fun new thing that we're doing, and I'm super looking forward to it. But so maybe I'm just low-key, and maybe I'm just practicing with all of this because it's not really meant to be a teardrop, but you know, it's been a minute since I've done a teardrop, and so there's that. It's again more of a modified teardrop drop swirl thing. It's just swirling some soaps on top, some soap on top. So there's that. Now the rest of the color just goes right into the middle, and then we will do a little skewer there. And I don't know why I skewer the tops of the soaps, because they always like get the gems put over them. But as I was doing this, I saw this and I went, huh, that's actually really pretty. And as I started laying down the darker red garnets, or the brighter red garnets rather, in the middle, because I have enough for that to go down the middle, and that's all. And I saw the way that the pink and the orange were sort of coming off, like kind of in a cool flame, you know, pattern from the stones themselves. I'm thinking to myself, maybe I just leave this bar with just the one garnet in the middle, just the one stone, because usually we cover the entire top of the soap, right? And so you have a whole bunch of different you know, gemstones on the top of the soap, and I think that's cool. But as I saw this, I'm like, yeah, that's gorgeous. I could really, maybe I should do that. And I'm really thinking at this point, should I just leave them like this? And ultimately I decided, since that bottom area there, the swirl wasn't exactly what I wanted it to be, I'm just gonna put a couple on, and let's see which one I ultimately end up liking better when we cut it and see the finished bar. But this is, you know, this is beautiful. Look at this. I am going to put this into the oven for C-Pop and gel, and we will cut it tomorrow and see what we are working with. So let's go check out that cut. And on to the cut, and there's definitely some glycerin dew going on these little melt and pour embeds, and that's to be expected because, you know, melt and pour, all the things. And it looks super pretty though. I do love that. And the sides look great, nice and shiny. No causes for concern there. And I'm, you know, testing the limits of Mr. Soap and Clay's cutter right now, and I guess I should stop doing that. But I didn't feel like hand cutting today, so I ran it through the thing. And yeah, that's super pretty. But look, the bottom went bluish, right? Like I said earlier, this is the one thing, like the one color that garnets are very rarely found in is blue. And I made it blue. But it's a very cute teardrop anyway. Like that's very cute. I love that. I like how it almost looks like some of these bars, they almost look like a heart, like a real heart, not like a love heart, which is fun because like the garnets are very much associated with, you know, the heart and blood and vitality and life and all that jazz. So that totally works, and it totally, like, I don't know, oozes from the top of the stone. And I think I like the ones with just the one stone on top the best. Honestly, I think that ended up being really pretty, not covering the entire top of the bar in the stones. I think that's beautiful. That's so good. And the scent with this one, it's very strong. It's a really good blend. I'm actually really pleased with this one. I'm gonna have to remember this and do this in another soap at some point, because this is definitely good. And yeah, no, these soaps are beautiful. I love these soaps. The slanted layer worked really well. Nothing broke down into it, so that's perfect. So we have layers, we have swirls, we have all of the pretty stuff. That is day 272, the January birthstone, the Garnet, and it is a babe.
That scent blend was so good. Seriously, like the rosemary and the pepper and the watermelon all coming together. That was like really wild, but so worked, like so well. And I am in love with this scent blend, and kind of makes me wish that I was a January baby. I'm not, but you know, this bar is cool. So yeah, that's the thing with the angled layers and the swirls and all of it. Hope you guys learned some stuff today. If you are interested in the January birthstone soap, the Garnet, you can totally find it on the website at soapandclay.com. It will be part of January's line. right? And we are, again, switching up the way that we're doing things on the shop as well, or on the website as well as in the shop, as far as the availability of products moving forward. So that's one of my big goals for 2021, is to keep products very, very limited. And once they're gone, they're gone. And I am not going to continue stocking over, 300 plus individual products. That was actually before I started 365 Days of Soap. I had a lot. And so everything is on a big clearance, last call, blowout. I'm getting rid of everything. And we are starting afresh in 2021. And this will be one of the bars that are available. So yeah, you can find those at soapandclay.com, today. You don't have to wait for 2021. So there's that. If you're interested in more soapy antics, yeah, subscribe to the channel, do the things, that'd be fun. You can see what we all come up with to replace all of these items every month, all of the, yes, you can click the word and you can be part of the Sudser family. We would love to have you. For those that are part of the Sudser family, hey, I'd love to have you. Thanks so much for being here for another round of 365 Days of Soap. As always, I appreciate you so, so very much. And yeah, I will see you guys all again tomorrow for the last day of 2020. Bye.